My number one takeaway is the defense for Arizona State struggling to tackle, but I don't want to complain too much because when you hold them to 24 points and you're able to get so many turnovers in the game, I would have to say they've done a pretty good job, but I would have liked to have seen better tackling throughout this game. And then I guess my second takeaway would be looking at looking at Sam. I thought Sam, again, hasn't had the passing yards that he was really looking for.
You mentioned how the defense performed in this game. They forced 2 fumbles. There was an interception in the second half from Keith Abney. He had kind of been picked on all throughout the first half, but he showed some resiliency and I guess level-headedness to stay in the game.
Absolutely. The turnovers were huge in this game. If you want to look at it, let's start with the fumbles that you mentioned and look at the ball security from Baylor. The split second that ball leaves the chest, you want 6 points of security. Boom. That's only 2 points of security. Ball out. ASU gets the recovery. And then there's another fumble that's very, very similar in which as soon as the ball gets out and away from the receiver, boom, there's a hit and there's another recovery. So I loved what I saw from ASU on these fumbles, and that is immediate pressure, and as soon as the ball is not tucked away, boom, get a hit on the ball.
That was all made possible by, I guess, clutch late game heroics from Sam Leavitt. He found Eusebio and then Jordan Tyson. Where's your level of concern at right now with Leavitt? Because he did not look good in the first half, but he showed, I guess, an ability to bounce back here in the second half and keep his team in the game.
I'm going to go with what Sam had said a little bit earlier in the week, and I think this is going to be a great breakdown. I don't think he's having enough fun. And I kind of look at him for that. He is a good quarterback. So when you ask me what's my level of concern, it's simple. As long as he gets back to being him and not feeling the pressure and just getting the ball to who's open and don't fall into the trap that Noah Fafita did for U of A last year, when almost every play, get it to T-Mac, get it to T-Mac, get it to T-Mac. I would rather see the ball spread out, and then you'll find Tyson at some point. But obviously, Tyson's already had a good day, so it's not like he's doing a terrible job getting the ball to Tyson. But the ball's got to be spread around, and that will alleviate the pressure. And I think then you'll see Sam have more fun.
With Tyson, it seemed like Baylor was really keying in on him early in the game. I think he only had 5 catches for 20-something yards in the first half, but then starting to wiggle free in the second half. And he had that touchdown catch and then the 2-point conversion as well.
To your point, and what grabbed me there is when I see Jordan Tyson not have the first half numbers and have the second half numbers, I immediately look at the coaching staff. That means they saw what Baylor was doing. We've heard the term halftime adjustments. It's a little bit of a misnomer because truthfully, you're making adjustments the whole game.
Right.
But what we saw in the second half is getting him in a little bit more of a bunch coverage every now and then. And by doing that, it was harder for the communication aspect of Baylor's defense, and that opened up Tyson more often in the second half.
ASU ekes out a win on the road, 27-24, the final score. One of the best players on the field tonight was the kicker, Jesus Gomez.
Yes.
I mean, he's been nails all season long for ASU. A breath of fresh air after the kicking struggles last year. Last-second field goal. ASU prevails on the road. Didn't always look like they were going to pull that one out, but in the end that they did. Doug, you wanted to focus on one guy on the defense in particular, Keith Abney, who kind of had a roller coaster game, but he made a big play in the second half.
That's what matters. You're going to have plays that you want back when you're that age. Well, I'm in my 50s and I want moments of my life back. But what I loved about Abney is watch what happened to him early in the game. He's in perfect phase here. There was no reason to grab whatsoever, and for some reason he locked on a little bit. Good call by the official. You get a pass interference. Only 2 plays after that pass interference, what does Baylor do? Going to go right back at Abney again, and there's a 20-yard gain. So you see, just as you said, Jake, there are moments in this game which just aren't good enough for a player of Abney's caliber. But instead of kind of wallowing in shame or being in misery, he's able to bounce right back, and at the end of the third quarter makes a huge play. The vision that he is keeping his eyes on the quarterback, but at the same time dropping back, being able to read the play, and even though the ball is not well thrown, who's the one that sees it? It's perfect. And when you're a coach, there's nothing like that moment of seeing a player struggle that you believe in, and then they come back. And this is right at the end of the third quarter that sets ASU up on the go-ahead field goal, and without it, ASU probably loses. ASU still undefeated under Kenny Dillingham in the last 2 years. Whenever they win the turnover battle, They were +3 tonight.
And I know you had an issue with how they were tackling earlier in the game, but you can forgive some of those missed tackles when you're being so opportunistic and forcing 3 turnovers every single game.
Absolutely. It's hard to play bend but don't break if you're not tackling. So there were some weaknesses. Coach Ward has plenty to work on, so he's going to be happy about that. But you just won a road game in the Big 12 and against something that a lot of people don't know. Baylor had the longest regular season winning streak in the Big 12 at 6 games. Yes, ASU had a 6-game winning streak as well, but one of those was the post-game win in Arlington against Iowa State. So you knocked off, in a sense, the hottest team in the Big 12 in their house.
McLean Stadium is not an easy place to play. Sun Devils will take the road win. TCU on the docket next week.